He's a PA guy for the Blues. He's also the PA announcer for the Gateway Grizzlies. Tom Calhoun, we wish we could invite you on the show for a better reason, but you went to high school with this James Hodgkinson?
Yeah, I did, McGraw. I was classmates, even in kindergarten, in fact, going back to our very young years. I have a kindergarten picture at home that includes both him and I. So, yeah, we're long time. We were born, I think, about 6 days apart. And so, yeah, I spent quite a few hours with what we called Tommy Hodgkinson. He went by that, when we were classmates in school.
Would you consider yourself good friends, acquaintances? You just knew him? What was the relationship like?
Well, like a lot of people, I think when you're in high school, you would consider them a friend at that time, but we weren't close enough friends to stay in touch with one another, for the last 45 years or so. So I'd say we were friends, but those times passed.
When was the last time?
We got out of high school.
When was the last time you saw him?
Well, I think, and I've told this story a couple times already, I think I ran into him at a local Walgreens earlier this year, but I wasn't sure it was him, and I don't think when we made eye contact he was sure it was me. It's been so long we weren't sure about it, so we didn't really converse, and we just kind of went our separate ways. But I'm quite sure it was him.
Yeah, Belleville's a pretty close-knit community. He's got friends and relatives. You have friends and relatives. When you first heard this and realized this was the guy you went to high school with, what went through your mind?
Well, I knew he had some political leanings and was an advocate in the political realm, but when I first heard that his name was associated with this thing, I thought, well, it must be a different James T. Hodgkinson from somewhere else. But then my phone started blowing up when people realized that we had gone to school together and were classmates, and obviously the realization came to me that it was him and that he must have been on some sort of mission to do this.
You never really, when you hear stories like this, you never think it's somehow connected to you, and then you find out you knew the guy in high school. I can't imagine you ever thought somebody you went to high school would be capable of doing something like this.
No, you never think that, and he was just one of the guys back in high school. You wouldn't have really thought then that his life would play out like this. But once I identified myself as a classmate of his, the power of social media took over, McGraw. I've been doing interviews all day yesterday, and I got a few more lined up today that, folks just want to hear what you know about the guy. And in my case, not a whole lot since we were in high school.
Yeah.
In your early years, though, what do you remember most about him?
Well, I remember he was a smallish guy, kind of like I was in those days, but he was always into physical fitness. He was on the wrestling team when we were in high school. He was a guy that I think most people would say, even though he was small, you didn't want to mess with him too much because he wouldn't take any guff from anybody. Just kind of one of those guys that fit into the crowd. He didn't stand out all that much in any way that I can remember, other than the fact that he was an athlete and did some wrestling. Didn't participate in choir or history club or any of those kind of social things that people did. So, just as I've said, kind of another guy in the class.
What other media outlets have you heard from around the country, around the world?
I had requests last night from CNN. I'm doing Inside Edition here in a few minutes as soon as I get into my office. Mostly local outlets, though. The national ones kind of surprised me.
Right. Why is that?
Well, I guess it's just amazing to me, once you put it on Facebook that you were a classmate of somebody involved in an incident like this, how people find you. It's a little bit scary, actually.
Yeah. Have you gotten any blowback on social media because you went to high school with him?
No.
Okay.
No, just people saying,
Yeah.
wow, and things like that. Amazing that you knew this guy, you
Yeah.
know, that sort of thing.
All right, Tom Calhoun, back to work. Thanks for checking in. You're always welcome here. Voice of the Blues, voice of the Grizzlies, and nice to know that we scooped Inside Edition. So thanks for checking in, Tom.
Okay, McGraw.
All right, thanks. Also, Director of Radio Operations.